Digital Radio Network.
Want to go out to a movie? Or maybe watch a movie at home, but you can't decide on what to watch? Head on over to freemovieinformation.com. The movie trailers and descriptions for thousands of movies, both current and older, are all in one place. freemovieinformation.com. Thousands of movie trailers, one location. freemovieinformation.com.
Hey everyone, thanks for listening to the All Digital Radio Network. Whether you're a brand new listener or a longtime fan, you've probably noticed that we have quite a lineup. Do you have a business, an organization, or a group that needs global exposure? Have you been priced out of the traditional radio market, or are you seeking a new, innovative way to reach your customer base in this advanced digital age? Radio advertising is one of the most inexpensive and effective ways to get your message out to the mass public. We have advertising packages for almost any budget with the same quality you've come to expect from the All Digital Radio Network. Give us a call today at 312-324-0180, or you can email us at advertising@alldigitalradio.com. Let the All Digital Radio Network broadcast your business message to the world crystal clear.
Did you know that the federal government gives away over $400 billion in grants each year to private citizens like you? Go to findthegrant.com. These programs require no credit check, no collateral, no cosigner. What you need is the correct information found at findthegrant.com. If you're a U.S. taxpayer, you are entitled to your slice. Get the information to get started today. www.findthegrant.com.
You are listening to the All Digital Radio Network.
The virus has completely devastated over 150 of the world's major regions and is spreading rapidly. At this point in time, we know of only one method of killing the creatures, going to destroy the brain. Be on the guard of any loved ones who may have recently been in any sort of contact with the infected. And if you find yourself in a threatened position, please do not hesitate to act. Again, because this is not a test. This is not a joke. We as a species are overwhelmed. We are outnumbered.
Walker Wednesday starts now.
Oh my God, they're everywhere.
You know, before we even introduce anything, I'm listening to that whole opening tonight that, you put together for this show. And last night I watched this show on, I don't know, whatever channel, and it was called LA Apocalypse. And that's all I can think of is that show from last night, because it was, they turned into walkers, but these guys were crazy fast, went nuts, they get like all sorts of energy, and it wasn't like The Walking Dead where they were slow pokes. These guys were nuts.
So, they had a Day of the Dead remake, and the damn zombies look like Spider-Man.
Walkers.
Well, yeah, they don't say.
I know.
There's a big article about that. They don't say. In fact, even the first Night of the Living Dead never called them zombies.
Really?
Yeah, they were always living dead. They were reanimated. They were this, that, and the other. But they didn't really have a name. The genre started calling them zombies because there was always speculation that the guy that started Night of the Living Dead, Romero, trademarked the word zombie. But, before then, zombie was, something that a voodoo princess brought back to life.
Okay. Well, what sounds better? Zombie apocalypse or Walker apocalypse?
Yeah, you got to go to the
Dead
apocalypse. Yeah.
Zombies. It's got the ring to it. All right, it's Wednesday. Walker fans, welcome to Walker Wednesday, your midweek dose of The Walking Dead. I, of course, DJ Slim, my sidekick, the dirt farmer himself, Locke Michaels. Hi.
What's up?
Not much.
You weren't too thrilled with this last episode, were you?
It was boring. I'm not a flashback person. I understand the whole concept of flashback. It ties things together. I mean, I'm a fan of the show. I'm not that die-hard fan that has to, connect every piece to the puzzle. That's why I never liked the show Lost, because there was just so many pieces of the puzzle that you had to, So I don't care about that part of it. I just, I want to see, what happened, where they go, what happens, do they survive, do they live, who gets killed next. But
well, we could start out with a little piece that we forgot from Slabtown.
What's that?
I thought I'd gone through every note, and then every little inch of the show, and I read everything online, and I didn't realize how Beth figured out Dr. Doctor was a doctor.
Okay, what happened there? How was this? Because we thought...
And it was right in front of my face.
We thought she was smart.
Nothing happens in this show that isn't for a reason. And when she stops for 30 to 45 seconds to look at that ID tag before she finds the key to the elevator, that was Dr. Doctor's ID tag.
All right, so she's not as smart as,
Well, I mean, she figured it out when she saw his doctor tag. And she put two and two together, but she didn't just, she didn't have a psychic premonition and knew the guy was a doctor.
Yeah, well, that's true. Nothing
happens. The writers in this show do not write anything that isn't for a reason.
Well, no, and you and I talked about this on pre-show a little bit. That, I don't care about the flashbacks, but they're there for a reason. So everything we saw last night or Sunday night in those flashbacks, it's there for a reason. And you pointed some of those things out. But it was a slow show. Lots of flashbacks, but we had the plot twist that it was kind of expected by people that read the comic book, but even some people that didn't, they kind of saw this coming. At least Twitter was talking about it. But the plot twist that happened, I mean, amazing. And we'll get into that. But what was the name of it? What was the name of the show? Self-Help?
Self-Help.
Self-Help.
Do we know why they called it that?
I'm sure you have a good reason why they called it that.
Oh, I'm telling you, the writers in this show, they're like Sherlock Holmes. And actually, we'll find out why they called it Self-Help.
All right.
Other than the fact that it was a lot of, Abraham and Eugene dealing with their inner turmoil throughout the show.
Yeah, and it was a lot of backstory with Abraham and how they met and what happened to bring them into this whole drive towards Washington.
Oh, and a little side note, anyone that listens to me on Sunday or Slim and I on Monday, there will be no more squeaking in the background because I threw my squeaky chair out, and I now have a non-squeaky chair.
I never heard the squeaking.
Oh, CB used to talk about it all the time.
I guess I just never paid attention. I click my pen, so...
I thought he was going to send me a can of WD-40 for a while.
Oh, no more squeaky chair. All right.
We had our very dramatic opening scene. There's always a dramatic opening scene in this show.
Of course.
And we see them on they're in the old church bus. It's what we'd expected them to be after we took a week off to go, see what Beth had been doing. And they're on the road to D.C. Think they should probably be in Virginia by now, but they're not even out of Georgia yet. You don't get too much mileage on these vehicles in the apocalypse.
No, they sure don't.
I mean, I don't think they have traveled more than 200 miles in any direction since the show started, and they keep going up and down and back and forth.
I know what the problem is, though. I know exactly why. Because they're all doing it 75 miles an hour, going as fast as they can go, and there's no reason to do that. They do drive 30. I'm serious. Have you ever really paid attention? They're always flying.
That's to make up for all the weeks they had to walk.
Well, I get that, but slow down because they don't get anywhere with these cars. We saw what happened to the bus. I mean, if he'd just been doing 20 miles an hour, the walkers aren't going to get
it would have blown up anyway.
Well, yes.
We'll find out about that in a second. But, we got a nice little opening scene. We got all the guys talking. What's his face? Abe needs a haircut, and he wants to get shaved from head to toe, dolphin smooth. That they ripped him on that on the Talking Dead with that dolphin smooth little comment that he made. And that was a hell of a mental image. Then we see Tara start flirting with Eugene. I don't think she especially likes Eugene. I think she's just horny as hell right now.
Well, wouldn't you be at this point?
She's already tried hitting on Glenn and it didn't go nowhere.
No.
And then we hear Glenn talk more.
Well, Eugene's going to save the world, so you might as well,
Well, yeah, and then he talks more BS.
Wow.
When Glenn's sitting there bugging him, he's talking about missiles and one thing I didn't catch at the beginning, but I saw the rerun episode of Walking Dead on my network TV, and how he tells Glenn it's that's a secret I can't tell you.
Yeah.
That's what do you call it? Top secret. Remember the episode when Glenn tells everybody about the walkers in the barn, and then Maggie won't talk to him for like 2 weeks?
Yeah.
and he gives her the whole "I'm sick of secrets. I can't stand secrets. This world shouldn't have any secrets." Glenn don't like secrets, so he bit his tongue and went, "So what's up? So what's up with the hair, dude?"
That's true.
What is up with the hair?
He likes it.
And apparently his boss, that wasn't really his boss, liked it too.
Yeah.
He could lie. Eugene can lie.
Well, we know that now, because how many episodes? Well, some people might not know the whole plot twist. I'm sure they do. Anyways,
well, you're listening to this show. You need to watch the show that comes on Sunday before this show.
Well, there's maybe some people tuned in still afterwards, wondering what in God's name we're even talking about. So from the show previous, we are talking about The Walking Dead on AMC Sunday nights, 9:00, and this is our take on what happens each week. So, and then we get the bus wrecks. Very dramatically, of course, the bus wrecks.
Anytime you see something like that, I mean, they didn't run into anything.
Oh.
They didn't run over anything. The bus just explodes, and then he loses control of it. Nothing happens for no reason. These writers have a reason for everything that happens. But at this point, all we know is the bus wrecked.
Yeah. And, of course, then there's, the herd of zombies that are just happen to be right there on the side of the road at the moment the bus, explodes. They're trying to get in, and they escape. And where did they end up going? Was it a library?
No. Did you notice? Let's backtrack a little bit.
Okay.
Did you notice when the zombies get there, and they you see one of them walking, two of them walking? Did you see the last one, the girl with the brown corduroys?
No.
That looked like she was bleeding out of her butt.
No, was she the one that was doing the twerking online that somebody? No, I better not.
I don't know, but if you watch the show again, you'll notice one of them just has a big old bloody stain right on her booty.
Ooh, interesting. I'll have to go look.
And that's when they go to commercial, and after every commercial, we see a little bit of Abe's flashbacks.
Yeah, and a couple of times. You know what? The first time we came back from commercial to one of his flashbacks, I actually thought we were in like an old season somewhere, and I'm trying to remember where this is from an old. You know what I mean? I don't know if you got that impression. You're good with the whole flashback thing, and I just, like I said, I don't pay attention to him. I care less. But I just felt like I was watching something from an old season real quick.
Well, he hadn't been around that long. That's the only thing.
I know. But once I realized we were doing flashbacks and it wasn't just something strange, then anyways, go ahead.
Well, we came back, we saw the flashback, and then I don't know if you got this, but Glenn just seemed exceptionally wishy-washy on this episode, didn't he? He was trying to kiss Abe's ass half the episode. Then he'd stand up to him, then he'd back down to him. I mean, he seemed like he was all over the damn place.
I don't think Glenn wants to be in this group. I think Glenn really wants to be with Rick. I know he was one of the first to volunteer way back when they first got into the church. He was one of the first to say, we will go with you. Maggie and I will go with you. And I know they were pretty much forced to go, but I don't really think he wants to be there. I think he wants to be with Rick. And I would too, actually. I could care less about Eugene. Go with Rick. Or go with the people that you've been with. Anyways.
And we know Tara doesn't fit in anywhere, and now she's trying to find a little spotlight here. I think the writers are trying to give her a little airtime because you see her, in that little fight scene with Eugene. Eugene gets his first kill.
Oh yeah, that was quite interesting.
He stabs her in the back, but he distracts her long enough so Tara can kill her. That was kind of a kill.
Yeah, this is when they first got off the bus.
It was like an assist.
No, it counts because now he's a badass, or at least he thinks he is.
And then Abe just starts screaming, check Eugene, because you could see right there, why is he so focused on Eugene all the damn time? Okay, he's important and all, but, I'm sorry, I could be a general in the military, and, this shit happens, and I'm just going to say screw it, go find a tent and live out my life.
But see, up until this episode, when we saw the flashback of how they actually met, we didn't really know if, in fact, maybe Eugene and Abe came off from a army base somewhere, and he really, you know what I'm saying? We didn't realize that they just met out in a parking lot or, in a street the way they met. So we're
Eugene going, help, walk, because they're getting faster. They're getting faster.
Exactly. That's, was really under the impression that these two came off from some sort of a base, and he really was the one tasked to protect him. But now we see that was, totally false. That's why I don't get why, now that we see how these two came together, I really don't see why Abe is so focused on saving him. But like you said, he's trying to reach onto something and be important and have something to focus on. But this is just some dude that ran up and said, I'm a scientist, I could do that
I gotta
too.
remember that during the next apocalypse. Help me, I'm a scientist. Take care of me.
It
So I don't have to go out looking for food or nothing. Even Eugene says, we're only 15 miles from the church. Let's just walk it back. But no, we got to keep going. We're going. I got a mission. I'm focused. There's nothing else. No sanity, no reality. Everything. We got to keep going. And then, of course, Glenn kisses his butt and he says, okay, I'll just rub a little dirt in it. And I'm sorry, the best line of the whole thing is when Maggie goes, I ain't rubbing dirt in anything. That's just, that's just a little bit of innuendo right there.
Yeah.
And Tara wants to find some bikes to ride to D.C., and I got a lot of talk after the show from bike enthusiasts. I mean, everybody just watches the show to see a little bit of piece of their life come into it.
And like you said, that was the first mention of a bike. And my wife had said something a long time ago, and I never even thought anything of it. She said, why don't they just ride bikes? And we've never seen bikes. I brought up a comment on Monday night on the show, and I see some comments to it in our production page. But there's no animals. We don't see a lot with animals. Now, you guys pointed out that, there was guinea pigs eaten and, there was a few pieces, but you don't see dogs running around or cats running around or.
Yeah, Wendy was talking about this with us in the little group we got,
in our production room.
You got to figure though, dogs are going to come right up to their owners, even if they're walkers. And what happens when a dog comes up to his walker owner?
He eats them.
Maybe.
But most dogs are smart enough to sense something wrong. And if their owner's acting all weird like a walker, they're going to avoid their owner. I would think we would see.
I would think most of the dogs would be eaten, and a lot of them would be out in little packs. Who knows? We might see a pack of wild dogs one day. The only zombie dogs we've ever seen were in the Resident Evil movies. So the actual disease.
Will Smith's movie there.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
I Am Legend.
Yeah, that one too.
Yeah, they were crazy dogs. Ooh.
And so we have to figure they don't jump speed. We know they eat horses, and we know that they probably eat anything because we had pigs on the prison farm, and I think he even gave it a name. It was called Violet. What's his face? Carl named it Violet. And so he got this big speech about don't get too attached because we're going to be eating that one day, son. Carl, don't get attached, Carl. It's my Ranger Rick impression.
I got to get that sound effect for the soundboard.
Yeah, we got to do that. But you got to figure, just the production value of it. Nobody wants to work with kids and animals. And Lord knows we got enough kids in this thing already.
Well, no, I know, but there's just really not even a lot of mention of it. But just like the bikes, this is the first mention of bikes.
Well, domesticated animals are going to starve because people feed them.
Well, yeah, like
so I'm sure if they ever panned up, there'd be a bunch of cat skeletons in the trees.
That's possible.
Birds are still around, wildlife's still around. They're always catching deer. They're always trying to, catch rabbits and possums and stuff like that. I'm surprised Daryl hadn't gained 50 pounds because he eats every critter in sight.
Yeah, that's true. There is some wildlife. I don't know. It's one of those things that I just really haven't noticed any of.
I can tell you from a fact that I used to have a aquarium, and the fish died, but the little froggies didn't die, and I kind of forgot about it, and I just let the water slowly evaporated, and I went and checked it a couple of years later, and there were little, froggy skeletons underneath the little seashells.
Oh, and this thing didn't stink a couple of years later?
No, it was in the garage or something. I just kind of left it there.
I got
you. And so, that's what happens. That's probably what happens to all the guinea pigs and all the hamsters and the dogs that are tied up or in the house.
They just all they're
I'm
away.
sure some of them will go back to the wild, but they're not wolves anymore. It takes a lot to undomesticate a dog.
If you're hungry, you'll undomesticate quickly, I would think.
Yeah, we might see a pack of wild dogs, hunting down the survivors one day.
Just like us, when we go hungry, we undomesticate quickly.
Yeah, you eat anything.
That's right.
I see that damn show, Naked and Afraid.
Oh, that'd be a rough. I couldn't do it.
I'd just rather go to the strip club. I don't have to starve. I'll just go to the strip club, see Naked, and just go home and have a burger.
The zombie apocalypse or the walker apocalypse, or whatever you want to call it, might be a cakewalk compared to Naked and Afraid. I'm telling you, that's. Ooh. They put you.
I still love that one lady that they were just getting eaten alive by mosquitoes, and she just said straight out, "That's it. I'm going home. My JJ's getting eaten alive by mosquitoes." And she went on. She did. The other one had a leech on her lady parts. That's exactly what she said. I can't believe I have a leech on my lady parts. Get some of the best lines off of that show.
That's a good one.
But like you were saying, they didn't actually, from what my understanding of The Talking Dead, they didn't actually go to a library. That was a bookstore.
Okay, it was a bookstore. I wasn't sure.
And they were in the self-help section.
That's where we get our title from.
That's where we get our title. And boy, we saw some survivor skills in there, didn't we?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. An interesting one.
Hey, you go for the toilet water. Use your little battery trick to make a fire. Boil your toilet water. Make stitches out of book bindings. And, you're good to go.
Hey, whatever works. And in that situation, you do what you... Toilet water, ugh. But...
Well, it's not in the toilet where somebody pissed in it. It's in the tank.
I know. It's in the tank. It's still in the bag. But that is just...
It's like if you're in a disaster, like a hurricane where the power goes off, you don't know if it's going to be off for an hour or a week or a month. You fill up your bathtub with water.
Right, and then boil it.
Then you got to have that water. But this brings up a very interesting scenario. We know all about our civilization and our history, but we don't know how many times... a lot of people speculate how many times have we got to this level of technology and then crumbled into ruins and started all over. And look at what these people are doing. They're turning books into firewood and ripping them apart and, just all this stuff that would be vital for civilization to continue. They're just using to stay warm. How much knowledge has been lost in the past due to worldwide disasters?
Probably
like a meteor hitting or a comet hitting or something like that.
Probably a lot. But that's assuming, that we don't already know history. We don't. I don't know.
Well, we know history up to the point where we recorded it, but before that, because we hear all, our mythologies might not be mythologies.
They might be true.
Zeus could throw thunderbolts. Well, maybe people had ray guns. And, Mercury could fly. These stories might come from the way, an advanced civilization was. It crashed into ruins because we always see these shows on history or A&E about how long it takes for a city to be completely overdrawn and just crumble into nothing.
Right.
The bedrock to the cities that we're building might be the ruins to cities that were here, 100,000 years ago that we don't even have any record of.
That's interesting. That's actually really interesting because you're right. They're just burning what could be used for teaching the next generation.
Survive.
Yeah, you do. You do. And I have this conversation with my family all the time. When one of these things happens, what are we going to do? Where are we going to get this? Where are we going to get that? And when we drive down the road, we look and see who's got what laying in their yard. We do. I ain't kidding. You think I'm joking? I know who's got solar panels. I know who's got, I know exactly where everything is that I would ever need or want should shit hit the fan. So
you better know how many guns they got too, Bubba.
Take advantage of it within the first 12 hours. 12 hours, I'll never know what hit them. So
I don't know if you ever watched that show Jericho.
I did. That was a great one. They
had to finish it up real quick, and they couldn't expand it because the ratings just weren't there. But when they were trying to get things back to normal, the one guy that had his little farm and he had the IRS agent out there that he ended up marrying and falling in love with, and he had the deaf sister that eventually got shot. Well, she had a boyfriend, and they were all sitting around going, "Oh, it'll be okay. It'll be okay." And the whole world, nuclear bombs going off all over the United States. No electricity, no nothing. Oh, it'll be okay. They'll get the internet up soon, and we'll just order whatever we want. And that's probably the way most people think.
They do. And here's the scary thing. I mean, you know from the other shows that I follow conspiracy sites and theories and this and that and everything else. But I actually said to my wife today, I said, this morning, I said, if everything were to go south, shit hit the fan today, and the electric went off, and there was no way for you to use your cell phone, and people were coming into work saying, we're hearing reports, that this stuff's happening all over, and, nothing in particular. I wasn't using particulars, just in general. I said, would you know enough to actually leave work and come home? Or would you be just one of those people that, everything will be fine in an hour, or, the next day, or the electric will be on tomorrow, don't worry about it. And she's like, well, I don't know. And it's true. Most of us just think, we'll be on the internet tomorrow. Don't worry. My iPhone will still, I'll still be able to do whatever tomorrow.
Well, no, you saw this more right after 9/11 than anything, because you had people stranded all over the country, all over the world, because planes weren't flying. That was just airplanes.
Yeah.
And we saw it again. If you were in New Orleans around Katrina, you really did see the end of the world.
You sure did. And that's in everybody does. Everyone takes the sense that it won't happen to me. So, of course, power goes out, it'll be on in a half an hour, no problem. And one of these days, one of these times, it might not be the case.
Yeah, we had just a slow hurricane roll into the Raleigh-Durham area. It's been years ago now, but our electricity was off for, I think, about 14 to 18 days before we got electrical back up.
How long ago was this?
Oh, God, I want to say 2004, 2005.
So it's still really not that long.
I'm sorry. No, 96, 94, 96.
Okay.
10 years before that.
Okay.
This was the big thing that pretty much brought all of Raleigh down. We had to send busboys. And get this, the restaurant I was at, every time the wind blew, the lights went out. And we had to go through emergency protocols and, do credit cards by hand and all this dumb shit. This time, we're the only restaurant open within 50 miles. So we have a line outside the door 24. It was a Romano's Macaroni Grill. I was a regional chef for the Macaroni Grill, and that was my flagship store. We had to literally, we came up with some brilliant ideas. For example, me and a few other people had gas heat. So everybody took showers at my house and the other guy's house.
There you go.
So we teamworked. Everybody go over to my house, take a shower, come on back. No way to pump gas to get to work because none of the pumps need electricity, so we had to drive them from Durham to Burlington. The busboys would take our cars and then fill them up and bring them back.
Wow. It's crazy. But this was 15 years ago, more than 15 years ago. Imagine today any town of any size going 14 days without power. It would be disastrous. 96, I'm sure it wasn't pleasant, but nowadays that would be disastrous. You're talking an entire city crumbling in a matter of 4 or 5 days with no electricity.
Well, you
seriously.
See what happened in New York when they had that big power outage. People had to walk home across the bridge.
Well, yeah, but that wasn't really a sustained power outage of any sort.
They didn't know that. They walked home.
I understand that. No, I understand that. But if that had gone on for 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 days in the middle of the summer in New York City, damn well that city's going to fall. There's going to be rioting. It is going to be the apocalypse.
In this day and age, if you have something on such a mass scale that even the government can't take care of it, and this is something that we're getting into with this episode, why do you go on? It's one thing just to have all the luxuries taken away from you and you have to go and live in the woods, but you have to live in the woods with undead people trying to eat you. What makes you want to go on? And that's really what this episode answered. How do people sustain themselves?
Because they gave themselves purpose.
Yeah, they find a reason. Look at every character in The Walking Dead. They have a reason to go on.
Well, and I have my purpose. My purpose is my 2 daughters. I have a 6-year-old and a 3-year-old. That's my purpose. And
how did we start? How did we start the series? Rick had to find his wife. The whole world's gone. Millions,
Rick had to find
if not
his wife.
billions of people are dead, and he has to find his family.
Right.
So, and then now he's got Judith. Now he's still got Carl. You know, everybody's got a reason to go. Everybody lost. I mean, you got Carol. She lost her reason, and she found another one. Basically, her inner strength. Everybody's got something, even if it's not tangible.
Right.
And this episode basically locked in on what's keeping Abe alive. And God help me if he uses another catchphrase.
Oh, you're not all about the catchphrases.
Oh, did you see the last episode of Star Trek, the last Star Trek movie?
I didn't.
Kirk actually looks at McCoy and says, I'm ordering you not to say a catchphrase again. Do not. That's what I feel like doing to this. And Eugene's just as bad.
See, I guess I don't really pay that close of attention to all their little phrasings and everything else, but do they do it on purpose? I mean, do the writers do it? He's probably making his character that kind of person, because we all know one of those people. Hey, it's hot out. Oh, yeah, it's hotter than a grasshopper on a red tick bulldog. You know, you always got one of those guys. It's Dan Rather. Yeah.
You know, Dan Rather, Dr. McCoy. It's that thing. Everybody knows one of those people that just can't talk without pulling up an old catchphrase. And I guess Abe is just one of those people.
Add their own sparkle to it.
But, you know, they're making their little camp there in that bookstore, library, whatever it is. And then, you know, you got Glenn comes up to Abe and, you know, tells him, you know, everything's going to be okay. And he's trying to comfort him again. Glenn's real good at doing that. He says, you go get some sleep. And I love what Abe says. I'm going to need some ass first. And Glenn said, you didn't need to tell me that, but cool.
And then we have it. It was a pretty crappy sex scene, if you ask me, but whatever.
Hey, take what you can get in the apocalypse, dude.
I know. I mean,
There's no internet porn.
No, there isn't. But you read enough of these conspiracy theories, and they all want to have doom sex. Anytime there's something going to happen, they all go run out and have doom sex. So you think, you know, in the apocalypse itself, they'd all have sex, but...
Well, that's what Shane and the missus did.
Doom sex?
They had doom sex, but, you know, after a while, you know, you can't really, you know, you got to look at the walkers getting ready to jump on your back and eat you while you're having sex in the woods.
Oh, yeah, but Rosita and Abe, little sex scene there, and we had what's his name, Eugene, decided he was going to watch.
He's doing it again, Abe. He's doing it again. Oh, he's harmless.
Would you? Yeah, I'm not going to even ask you. I remember what we talk about on Off the Hook Radio.
We got to figure you're not going to have too much privacy. You know, they got a little bit of privacy here. They got their little sections of the bookstore.
Well, you're right.
But, you know, there's got to be days where you're in a little tool shed with 5 other people trying to stay away from the walkers.
I get that. But, you know, I can understand that you're not going to have privacy, but at least turn around. You don't have to sit there and stare. I mean, well, I guess maybe you do because she's pretty hot.
Well, then you get, he gets caught by Tara. You know, Tara, I think Tara could have gave him something right. He could have got something from Tara right then and there.
Yeah, well.
She's frustrated. But he gives her that little, I don't even remember what he said. Well, they know I'm doing it. I know I'm doing it. It's mutual. It's a victimless crime, blah, 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 blah. He just spouts off the bullshit.
He does. And then he confesses about the bus.
Yeah, he
crashing it.
Crushed up some glass, threw it in the gas tank. He didn't even think they were going to get out of the driveway of the church. He was surprised.
I think that's what he was hoping, was be able to stay right there at the church. I think he would have at all costs sabotaged that bus now, at this point.
Yeah, because he didn't want to have to get to D.C. and, you know, if God forbid if there was anybody still there.
Yeah, because he's no scientist. Well, wait, can't spoil it.
I ain't no scientist, but I'm smarter than you.
I'm not a scientist, but I stayed at a Holiday Inn Express last night.
Oh, that would have been a perfect sponsor, man.
What else?
They missed out.
Oh, well. But yeah, he confesses to crashing the bus. Didn't think he'd make it out of the church, like you said. And then there was a fight.
Yeah, Rosita and Abe, they get into it because Rosita wants to stay a little bit longer, and you see Abe's obsession with his mission.
Yep. Go. And you've seen that, even in the church you saw that. Go.
It keeps growing and keeps growing. And we don't know why. And whenever you don't know why in this show, the writers will sooner or later tell you why. Nothing happens without a reason in this show now, the way they're writing it.
Well, and I think that's smart that they're doing it that way. Sometimes you really have to look for it. Like you found some things that, we may have overlooked in the show, 5 little things. Some of it we've already talked about. We'll get into those at the end. But they are making a good point at tying everything together. And then what happened? Oh, this was the best part of the whole show. Besides the twist, the fire truck scene. I loved it.
You got to have a fire truck in the apocalypse.
Yeah, you do. But they should have at least paid attention when they moved that truck. They jump in the truck, Abe starts it up, pulls it out, and of course what happens but the door opens that the fire truck was holding closed. I mean,
the walkers were nice enough to roll a tire at them to show they were coming.
Yeah, here comes this tire rolling across the parking lot. Here we come, better start running. Yeah, and then a whole bunch of tires come flying out and a herd of walkers out the door. Oh God! And then Eugene gets up on the top of the truck with his water cannon. And he makes a walker soup with that thing.
Yeah, man, I thought it was bad when Sasha cracked one of them's head open with a plastic shopping cart.
Yeah, no.
One of those handheld shopping carts.
Yeah, fire truck.
The water just took the head right off of the guy.
Oh yeah. Oh, it was great.
They talked a lot about that in The Talking Dead. The stunt coordinator actually got out there and got hosed down with that hose, and they turned down the pressure so it wouldn't hurt the stunt people. He got out there and got blasted with it, and then they slowly turned it down so it was perfect to do the stunt with.
Right. Wow, that's cool. Was that one of the behind? I didn't watch Talking Dead this week. I had something else.
Yeah, that was one of the behind the scenes thing. And then when they spray off the sidewalk, what do we see? Big old red letters, sick inside, let them die.
Oh, yeah. But you wouldn't have seen that, of course, unless you were up on top of the truck, I don't think. Even when it was sprayed off, I don't think you would have seen it unless you were up there where Eugene was.
Yeah, then Eugene comes down, Abe gets up there, sees it, and he sees them, like looking like drowned rats. They want to go to the Goodwill down the street. Can't go to the Hex, can they? No, they can't go to the Macy's. They got to go to the Goodwill down the street. Even in the apocalypse, you got to be thrifty. But they're all sitting there looking like drowned rats, and Abe sees that, and he just starts belly laughing. So he's still got a sense of humor. It's just this one thing has got him obsessed right now.
Oh, yeah. Yep. And they, what'd they do after that? I'm trying to remember. Oh, they got that. The
best thing after
they got in the truck and they left.
Well, right before that, one of the better lines of the whole thing. 8 county fairs and a goat rodeo. I ain't never seen nothing like that when he hosed them damn walkers down.
That was a great scene.
Too many catchphrases, man. He's got to let it go.
Watch, now they're going to write more into his story. You're in trouble.
Well, he didn't say a whole lot until now, so
yeah, that's true.
Maybe this is his one episode.
Yeah. Now, I'm reading our show notes here, and I'm trying to remember in the show. Did they smell the smell before they got into the fire truck and left, or did they smell the smell?
They got down the road. We see them. So we don't see them get into the truck, but we know the truck's running.
Okay.
Because he clears the intake out, and then all of a sudden they're broke down a mile or so down the road. Well, actually, they said the next town they were trying to get to was 5 miles away.
Okay.
So they had to be about 4.5 miles when it broke down. That's how long that damn truck lasted. And then they're at the back trying to, and all of a sudden you hear, and we talked about this a little bit in pre-show because you and I, we couldn't see the herd.
Yeah, it didn't look like anything to me. I kind of saw the outline of a house, maybe a couple buildings, and lots of black spots, but no herd.
You heard.
We heard the herd.
And we heard that Glenn could smell the herd.
Yeah. But I didn't see no herd. They definitely...
Like I was saying, this beckoned me back to the first season finale of Stargate SG-1, when they didn't have enough money to actually make the big mothership that Apophis was bringing down on top of them. So they all just looked out the window and went, ooh. So maybe there's some budget concerns. They had to take the heads. They had to CGI the heads off of those walkers, and all this other stuff. So maybe it was a big panoramic view, and I'm sure it's hard to get that landscape view and see the detail, especially on a television screen. You said you got a good TV. I got a pretty good TV, and neither one of us could really see it.
Yeah, no, there was no dramatic effect. And like I said to you on pre-show, there's a lot of times, I'm right on the edge of my seat. My hands are dug right into the chair, and I'm, don't make that turn. Oh my, I know it's only a TV show, but, I'm into it. And that was a moment where I really think you needed to feel the moment and feel how big of a situation they were in. And because you really couldn't see what was there, it totally lost everything. To me, the very important scene lost a lot of effect. And we know why that's an important scene now, because that's the plot. That scene is where the plot twist happens.
Yeah, well, you do hear Glenn talking about smelling it. And
I know.
They could smell it, and they went out to investigate what the smell was. They had to walk probably another quarter mile from the truck to see that view that we couldn't see. Then what do you see first off? You see Glenn just go into protocol mode. Okay, yeah. That's it. Let's go. We got to turn back around and find a way around this. And that's when the shit hits the fan. Abe does not want to even make a detour. He's so concentrated with the mission. The mission has to go forward, even if he's got to go through 10,000 walkers.
Yeah, and at that point, he was out of his mind, because there was no way they were going to come out of that alive, even though we really couldn't tell how many walkers there was.
He didn't care who was going back. He was taking Eugene through that herd of walkers.
Yes, he was. And that is when Eugene decided to spill the beans.
Tell him what happened. Come on, man. I've been telling you about this for weeks. You get to tell everybody else now.
Oh, that he's not the scientist?
He's not a scientist.
Oh, I know you've been telling me that you haven't been telling me that he's not a scientist, but you've been telling me that there's something with him that, yes, Eugene decided he's going to spill the beans. He's not a scientist. He's lied. And boy, oh boy, is Abraham just a little pissed off.
That's his whole world at this point, because
it is.
You got to remember, now we go back to the flashbacks that we've been seeing after every commercial break. The first one, we see Abraham killing a guy with a can of beans, and it breaks his hand open and cuts it in the same place it's cut right now, which kind of led to the flashbacks. And when he comes up off of killing the last guy, you see that he's killed 4 guys. And through the course of all the flashbacks, we see that his wife, Ellen, and his 2 kids are sitting there looking at him. And to hear the actor... it's Michael Cudlitz, tell the story. These guys get incredible background. They're not just told to, look scared, say this, look mad, say that. When he was on The Talking Dead afterwards, he knew the plot from the comics that we never saw in the television show. But in the comics, apparently this is what happens. Those 4 men are his neighbors. They're, his next door neighbors. They're the guy down the street, the guy his kids play soccer with. And they have just finished raping his wife and his 2 kids.
Okay.
He comes back and kills them. Just kills them with his bare hand. They're just laid across the whole aisle of this grocery store that's been wiped clean. I guess that's where they've been living. And his wife and kids are looking at him like, and to hear Michael in The Talking Dead, he said it better than anybody, They see Dad the dad. They see Dad the husband. They see Dad the soccer coach. They see, Dad the guy that takes them to the movies. But they've never seen Dad at work, and he's a soldier.
Right.
And it just blew them away. They didn't want anything to do with him. He wakes up the next morning. They've left with a little note saying, "Do not follow." Wife and kids are so shocked at his brutality, even after he saves them, that they run out, they get killed, eaten by walkers, And then we see the little pansy dance. He's sitting there ready to blow his head off. He's got the gun in his mouth. And here's Eugene. Help! Help! And they're picking on him on the Talking Dead about this because, what were you doing? Were you dancing with the walkers? Or said, no, they told me to run daintily, so I was trying to run daintily. I think I did a very damn good job. So Abe gets up, kills him, and he goes back to kill himself because he doesn't want anything to do with this little guy after he saved him. And Eugene's funny as hell. Eugene's still trying to save face. I think they're getting faster. Which brought the comedy. I mean, it really needed a little bit of comedy at this point because now we see, Abe's about to kill himself. There's nothing he has to live for. Until I really think it's not what Eugene said, but how he said it. He didn't say, I'm a scientist. You have to help me get to Washington so I can save the world. What did he say? He said, I have a mission. Light went on. Everybody's got that survival instinct, but we also have intelligence. We have intellect enough to know that, sometimes you just can't live. World Trade Center, you're going to burn to death or you're going to jump, right?
Yeah.
Your survival instinct will kick off with your intellect. You're in a submarine. It's flooding. What are you going to do? You're going to blow your head off or you're going to drown? You're going to get it over quick, right? Same thing. You got a world full of, walkers that are out there ready to eat you alive. Are you going to get eaten and bit to death or are you going to blow your head off? That's why we've seen so much suicide, at the CDC and everywhere else. But you still have a survival instinct and your subconscious looks for something to live. And I have a mission was his entire reason to live ever since his wife and kids died. And that's been his obsession. We've seen this obsession grow with his character in the episodes that he's been in.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if he goes like crazy at this point or if he finds something else to latch onto. Because we've noticed some of the characters have latched, when one thing is no longer there, they move on to they latch onto something else. Is he going to have a new mission or is he going to just say, I'm done?
And I'll be honest with you, I went back and read the wiki for the comics last week. There is nothing even remotely similar. I mean, and this is what really gets me because they've changed so much. I mean, in the comics, Dale ended up hooking up with Andrea, and then Andrea hooks up with Rick after Dale dies. Dale's character kind of had happened to him what happened to Bob. Carol isn't alive at this point, but I think Sophia is. So it's just they have the characters, but they've just taken them and warped them so much. It's an entirely different story. Now, what I'm wondering is Eugene really a scientist? And is he smart enough to know that by telling him he's not a scientist, he wouldn't drag him through that herd of walkers?
Yeah, and this could be very possible. He really is a scientist and just lied because he didn't want it. Because he was going through that herd of walkers. I mean, there was no doubt about it. They were going through.
Maybe Eugene figured a good ass whipping. And, he really didn't have to say, like I said, I am smarter than you. That's really what got his butt whipped.
I don't know.
And he got his butt whipped good. We ain't even sure if he's still alive.
Oh. He doesn't seem like he could be a scientist. At least not one that's going to be able to fix this.
Well, in the comics, he doesn't even say this in the TV show, but in the comics, he was a junior high chemistry professor or chemistry teacher.
So he didn't have the cure, obviously, in the comics, which we already knew. No. So, yeah, I don't think
But I think they got to Virginia before they found that out. So there's no telling what's going to happen at this point.
Yeah. No.
And the comics, at this point in the comics, it gets really, really, really weird. The first half, they were able to take some of the weird stuff, like, comic book superheroes. Some things just don't happen in the real world. They were able to take some of that and make it real world. The governor, okay, that's possible. Someone can get, a dictatorship going and, a benevolent dictatorship and this, that, and the other. There can be cannibals. That's not really a far-fetched thing. We've seen that happen with airplane crashes in the Andes. That stuff does happen. But from this point forward in the comic book, it gets really weird. I mean, I think even they have it where the walkers start using knives and tools and stuff.
Yeah, you had mentioned something about this. And at this point, I honestly, if all of a sudden the walkers went from the walkers that we have to walkers that can now pick up knives and use tools and do things that they haven't been able to do for 5 seasons, I honestly, at that point, will be turned off by the show and probably won't watch because it's not... If they'd started off being able to use knives and tools and, and that's what I'd known for 5 seasons, fine. But you just can't all of a sudden just up and, all the walkers wake up one morning and now they can intellectually think and use tools. No, sorry.
You see a little bit of expression on them, like when you saw the one walker, chomping at the window trying to get to Abe when he's inside, and he kind of looks a little pissed and he just goes and walks off. You see they have some type of awareness, but very, very limited.
Yeah, but
and they've always had that since day one.
But it's not... I don't see how they could get smarter. The only thing I could see is that they get dumber, not smarter.
Well, they're obviously rotting.
Yeah, right, so that's what I'm saying. How can they get smarter if they're rotting? I just don't see them being able to use tools and knives. And if they write that into there, I think they've really taken what could be a great, great show and just...
This is way down.
No, I know.
This would be the equivalent of like season 7 or 8.
Yeah, but still, they can't get smarter. They can't.
Well, you don't really know which ones died because they're constantly dying. If one of the people that are alive right now dies, he's going to become a walker.
Right.
But you don't know how long some of these have been dead. The ones that have been dead upwards of 2 years, they're starting to fall apart. I mean, you can crack their skull like an eggshell. Other ones might be a little stronger. The one show that did this was called Stakeland. I don't know if you ever saw that movie.
No.
It was it wasn't a zombie apocalypse. It was a vampire apocalypse where everybody turned into vampires, and there were different kinds. There were berserkers that had like this armor. Their bones kind of grew like armor, and they were like, really super strong, and you couldn't stab them in the heart because they had like an extra plate there. Then you had other ones that were, just kind of dumb, and you could just go up to them and like stab them, and they were dead. And I think they called the what they call the little, when a kid got turned into a vampire, they called them scamps. Little kid vampire, and they would be like all cute and everything right before they try and bite your throat out. But there were different types, but we don't see that here because now we just have rotting walkers. And God help them if they're rotting in water, because then they just fall apart.
Oh, like that. Well, remember they dragged that one out of the well, and
yeah, that was the first Wet and Wild walker.
Ooh, that was just gross. I remember they did do that on the Talking Dead afterwards, and they did the behind the scenes. That was gross. Ugh.
Don't drink the water, man.
Oh God.
Now they pretty much figured out they're all infected. They're all going to turn into walkers once they die, so now they don't really care. But for some reason, getting bit or getting scratched, intensifies whatever the...
And tainted meat doesn't seem to intensify it.
Well, we don't know. They got killed before we could find out.
Yeah, true.
But
they would have turned, I would have thought, from tainted meat.
Well, no, because Bob got bit the day before, and he hadn't turned yet.
It's true.
So that was only within 6 hours of them eating the meat and going to... they probably weren't alive more than 6 or 12 hours before they got killed, because that was all the same night.
That's true. So sneak peek for Sunday's episode. I don't know what the title of it is, but sneak peek for Sunday's episode. We see Daryl and Carol are back together. Are you excited for this? I am, because they're good characters.
Well, actually there's a lot of speculation about this, just because this is the first time we've seen Daryl and Carol in an episode all by themselves in so long. They weren't even the super characters the last time they had scenes together, without everybody else kind of popping in the way.
Well, I would assume since we see them in the sneak peek, we're going to get more answers to Beth, the hospital, and Carol getting out of, what happened and why she's there. That would be my guess. Wouldn't you assume?
We should see the conclusion of that, I'd guess. And we see them with what looks like a child wrapped up, getting burnt. And episode 6 is called Consumed.
Consumed, okay.
So somebody gets it, I bet you.
That's the one they throw in the fire.
Yeah, it looks too small to be Beth. And we've heard a rumor about Beth for the mid-season finale that we don't want to, give away. But you can probably get that if you start looking around some of the other little websites. But I guarantee you that's someone that gets introduced because it's too small to be Noah. It's way too small to be Noah, and it's definitely too small to be Beth. So we're going to have to wait and see who that is. It's probably some kid that runs up on them.
Not anybody important.
Maybe a little girl that looks like Sophia. That's why Carol makes Daryl, burn her and bury her like that.
There'll be some sort of reason they do it all.
Maybe they'll find a dog, and you'll be happy because there'll be a dog in the thing.
Yeah. You watch. Next episode, there'll be tons of dogs. They'll be running around.
Well, this ain't Farmville. I say something, crap ain't going to happen here.
I know. That sounds good, though.
We don't really think anyone's going to... we can make some conclusions of people dying next episode. Dawn might bite it. She's probably going to be back.
It's hard to say who's going to go. Somebody big has got to go here in order to, really... I mean, that was a big twist with Eugene and the whole, I'm not a scientist, but they got to really stir the pot some more here. And the only way they can do that is to kill off somebody. I mean, I know that upsets fans, and I know people will get, I'm not watching anymore if such and such isn't on the show. But
well, not Sunday's episode or the one after that, but the one after that should be the mid-season finale, and we think someone's going to go then from the rumors that we're hearing.
Yeah, probably. We'll see.
Maybe they'll get you a bird. Maybe they'll have a talking bird, and they'll have to kill the bird, to shut it up so it won't draw walkers in. Rock, I want a pistachio. Mom, I want a cracker.
Just get that bird from Dumb and Dumber, the one that they just tape the head back on and pat.
First time it says cracker, Daryl's going to kill it anyway. What'd you call me? That's it. I want to see more Tara, though. I hope she doesn't get killed off. Even though, potentially as a character, I can actually see Dawn being brought into the fold and develop more of a character than some of the ones they've already got. I know nobody likes her. Everybody wants to see her dead. They want to see Beth kill her.
Really? Is that what they want to see? Is that what?
That's what most people, from the Talking Dead after the Slaptown episode, they want to see Beth kill Dawn. They want to see her die. But honestly, as a character, I know she's screwed up. She's made some bad decisions. She's basically hoed out her indentured servitude to keep her indentured servants to keep her guards happy. But I think she's redeemable, and as a character, she could be developed. That's all I'm going to say, since we're almost out of time.
Yeah, we are actually out of time. So if you guys play Farmville, which many of you do, join Locke and his team Sunday nights for the Dirt Farmer Live, all that good stuff about Farmville. They keep you in the know. Otherwise, if you don't play Farmville, like pop culture, politics, and just general bitch, and join us Monday nights, 10 o'clock for Off the Hook Radio. Mostly politics anymore. Ugh. Gotta have more fun stuff. I hate the politics.
Yeah, no more politics till 2016, and then not really then either.
Yeah, I'm just tired of it. So Sunday night, what was it called again? Consumed. Ooh.
Right after the Dirt Farmer Live. So you can listen to the Dirt Farmer, and then you can go watch Consumed.
Then come here Wednesday night, 10 o'clock, and we'll talk about it. Have a good night, everyone. Bye.
See ya.